Here we are. Welcome, everybody. Today is the 12th of July in Dallas. This is Dallas Personal Robotics Group Robot Builders Night Out, virtual, however you want to think of it. We'll do the usual, go around the table and talk about some robot-y things and maybe some things adjacent to robots. There is one thing coming up on the calendar that I wanted to highlight, and that is that this coming Saturday, we will have kind of a workshop. I guess recent meetings, we've had discussions of helping some of the members in interest to get out of using the old Arduino IDE and into using something that's a little more context aware and language aware and more of a proper tool. So I think Doug is pulling materials together, and he's going to host a course. It'll be a hybrid event, online and in person. It'll start at noon, I think it is. I'll post the details in the chat in a moment. But again, it's about the idea of this workshop is to basically get your laptop set up for VS Code and with Platform IO and Git plugins, and to the point where you can understand how to do kind of multi-file design and use that tool set to compile your Arduino code.
Yeah, there's going to also be a little section on style. And, some people will find that redundant and might not be interested in it. But other people, I believe, will find it very useful, depending on where you are in your programming journey. And I know it took me a while to figure out some of the things I hope to show. So I'm working on the presentation every day now, and I'm looking forward to it. So if you consider yourself a beginner and you don't know if you're just using Arduino IDE and you're not using Git, and this would be very useful to you.
Thanks a lot. No, I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
And that's unless anyone has anything else to put on the calendar for tonight.
I noticed that you did not have the Seattle Robot Society thing they mentioned. August 27th, they're planning to do their new virtual thing.
Oh, I was out last week, so
okay. I don't know if they're firm. I just saw something from Donna that they're looking for presenters.
Yeah, I saw that too. I'll put a note in here, and we can maybe catch up next time. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Doug, on Saturday, do you know how many people you have signed up for the room?
Doug, you muted.
I had a big emergency with my sprinkler system where I had a break in the main pipe, so I had to take care of that and called up my sprinkler system guys who are wonderful people, and they are not taking anybody right now because their whole crew's got COVID.
Ooh.
So anyway, so Mr. Doug with a shovel, and I finally figured it out. And all my hands are blue because I found out that I'm not very good at putting plastic pipe together. So anyway, I got it not leaking, and now I got to fill the hole up and everything.
Okay. So on Saturday, do you know, have you checked and see how many people?
I think it was
up?
like 3 or 4.
Okay.
Now,
because right now they do not have really a section course in the room, so you might need to bring some. And then the other question is how many people.
Yeah,
So
I guess
won't be swamp.
I guess there's one thing that, as I'm going through my materials here, I realized that you will need an Arduino board. I said it was optional. That's not true. You're going to need one because after we start doing the setup, you're going to want it to
encode too.
Yeah, right. So you got to have one, or you won't. So I may bring a couple extras in case somebody forgets, but if you if you got one, I'd appreciate it if you'd bring it if you're coming.
But you don't need LED lights and stuff like that for it.
No,
Okay.
we're not going to do the coding. We're going to do is going to be really
So mainly,
just examples of how the IDE can be used
okay.
and how the style can be used.
So main thing is, at least tonight when I glanced at the room, they did not have any ascension cords in the room.
So
So,
we
okay.
might have to go to other rooms and find
I
out
know.
where they
That's why I
went.
said if you have one brain
Yeah.
type thing.
Doug and I are going to be there 11:15. Y'all are welcome to join us and help arrange.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up, but I'm going to be there. Where do you sign up on the club page?
No, what they're talking about is if you go to Dallas Makerspace
Oh, okay.
and you
Yeah.
go to the events, and you can find the event listed there,
I
and
don't
you
think it's
just
needed. I mean, it's not mandatory to sign up there.
no. I mean, it's not like we only got 10 spaces or something weird. Just
There's so much
if you
space.
show up, and the intent is like we're going to be streaming it too, but that, as you know, when you're in live, you get to ask a lot of questions and you will be successful. You know what I mean? We will not
Well,
let you fall behind.
My
And
main concern was that we may have too many people show up.
I
So
don't
that's
think
why I
that.
don't know if you got a
I'm not-
limitation on it or
I'm
that.
not worried. I'm not worried about
Oh.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, John, you're too optimistic.
Well, let's just say the blacksmith did fill up, and it was only posted one day. I was surprised at that. So
Yeah.
Oh, we'll see.
Unlike
Might be a
Michael,
positive
I haven't
problem.
signed up, but I'll be there.
Yeah.
How
And
well does Platform IO support, the kind of fringe stuff, ESP32s, the Qt Pies, the RP2040s? Are all those supported?
a surprisingly large amount of them are supported, and that's otherwise you can use Visual Studio's code just for Arduino, and we will go over that because that may be what some people want. But when you go to Platform IO, you have to change some things around because they don't have it. It's not an Arduino environment. So instead of, not that the code changes per se, but instead of having my project name .ino, you're going to have main.c++. And that's really the biggest file change you have to make. And it's got some other things that are really, really nice. But we'll go over that on Saturday.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
I guess my companion paid off. We're getting a class out of it.
Yeah, you wore us down, Mike.
I know.
Good questions.
Yeah.
All right. So we have, I don't know if it's a packed agenda tonight, but we have a queue already with Doug, then Harold, that's Doug D, then Harold, then Michael, and then John K. So why don't we dig in? So Doug D, what you got?
Well, I started putting my robot together, and
Yeah.
I've showed you that wiring diagram, and it equates to this here. This is my 5-volt regulator. And by the way, Doug P, thanks for talking to me about that keeping track of how many amps all this is going to take. Because I found out that my 9-volt step-down thing couldn't handle the Arduino. So I had to order another one, be here Thursday. That's going to go right here. So it when it gets here, it'll go there. That's going to power the Arduino and the motor controller. This one here hooks up to this side there. And that's going to be the 5 volts for all of the sensors. It's only got, I think, 600 milliamps, but that's enough for the sensors, I believe. This side here is the ground. And over here is a 5-volt, 5-amp one that's going to handle the Raspberry Pi. This is the 18 volts coming in that gets split out to all of the others. So I was pretty happy about that. I did mechanical stuff. I screwed some screws, and I actually got some wires put together. I'm feeling pretty good about that. And
So,
that,
Doug, how
Yeah.
many sensors are you going to have?
I'm going to have 4 SR04s that say they don't take hardly anything for amps. And then I'm going to have 2 IR sensors that shouldn't be very big. Those
Okay.
little IR sensors with the 2
I
little.
will say one thing here, something in the future for that type of 5-volt, downloadable ones. I'm not talking about the other ones. If you use I think it's called Skywing. I'll put a link in it, but that's
Okay.
it's I've used it on a lot of robots, and I think it's 2 amps, and it can either be 5 volts or 6 volts. And so for servos, if you're using exclusively for servos, you want to run it at 6 volts.
Yeah.
Okay.
That reminds me. I've got some servos that I haven't even thought about on my deal yet.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I'll put a link for one there. I can't remember what they cost, but they weren't very expensive, and
Yeah.
they're really made for RC stuff. But I've always found them dependable.
Well, that's good. I know I ordered those Pololu step down things, and those are a little pricey, but I wanted to get ones with high amp numbers. That's where the price is. Speaking of high amps, I didn't really show this here, and it may or may not be easy to see, but right there on that 5 volts, I put it on those brass things to raise it up because it said it got pretty hot. So I'll be doing that with the 9-volt thing too. Not quite sure if that's easy to see in this particular camera.
Oh.
But I found those. I got a whole package of those brass things that you can attach things to. So I played with this. This is the body from my Robbie the Robot, and I'd already talked about I made this block of wood to hold the thing that's going to be the battery thing, and I got to soldering. This thing had little bitty, teeny tiny wires in it, and I replaced them with a heavier wire here, and that goes up to the fuse, and then this other one goes up here to the switch, and then that wire is going to come out to where that board is going to be right here. So that's the main exit to the board or entrance to the board, and then this is going to be the main wire to the ground, and it's coming together. I'm going to have this board across here that's the power board. Then I'm going to have a board across here that's got the Arduino and the Pi on it, and then all the sensors and wheels and motors are down here at the bottom, which I just noticed on the camera wasn't really showing. So I'm getting happy. It's starting to come together. I'm hoping to have it done. I know somebody's pushing me to give a presentation on it, and I'm not going to present until I get it done. So that's pretty much where I'm at with that. Hopefully
Doug, did you
week
say those little switch mode power supplies are getting hot?
I don't have a fear. I was noticing on the Pololu website that the thing gets too hot to touch, is what they said.
Oh, okay.
So I lifted it off the wood because this thing here is a piece of little plywood stuff. So I just wanted it off the wood so it didn't have any potential things go wrong there.
Yeah, not unless you're really heavily loading the switch mode power supply. They're super efficient, usually like I don't know, 97% or above sometimes.
That's what they were listing, is really efficient.
Yeah. So it shouldn't be getting super hot.
Well, I might have read more into it. I admit to just glancing over things because I was looking for something in particular, and I just saw that. So I said, well, I got these standoff things. Let me stand it off.
Yep.
I was going to ask an interesting electronics question today about, I have this thing wired together, and I was going to say, well, can I put the battery on this and just test voltages even without the load on it? I went ahead and did it, and yes, you can.
Oh, yeah.
So my 5 volts gives out 5 volts, and my 18 volts comes in at 18 volts. And one of the things I was worried about is that this little puppy here, which is the smaller 5 volt, 600 milliamp, when I was soldering these pins on, because they don't come with the pin soldered on, and I am a terrible solderer, I shorted 2 of the pins together with a big blob of solder, and I had to work to get those separated. So I wasn't sure it was going to work until I plugged it in, and it worked. It's not shorting itself out. Good deal.
Yeah. Yeah. In most cases, they'll output the right voltage. Sometimes, like if you have a multiple output switch mode power supply, it requires like a load on one of them to get the other ones to, output something or output correctly.
Yeah.
But
I was hoping I wasn't going to just burn it out. turn it on with no load and it just goes whoosh and starts flaming. Especially
Say
That's
that
usually
again.
not a risk, but the regulation the regulators are designed normally for or many times for some minimal load if they're going to
Yeah.
be within spec.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, they usually
showing
tell you
my
what it
almost
is.
total lack of knowledge about electronics. I used to know some back in my 20s, but I'm not going to tell you how many years ago that was.
You're coming up to speed now based on what you're showing. That's well done. Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about my wiring control harness stuff at this point. I may later. My wife bought me some of them little hair clips that girls use on their hairs that go like this. I can bunch the wires together.
What's
It
wrong with
works.
that?
It works. I
And
don't
they
have to
come
wrap.
in many color options them too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Chip clips. That's good.
Yeah.
Same thing. Pull it off your potato chip bag and hold wires
That's all I
together.
had.
All right. Well, that's good. You're moving along. It's good. I think next we had Harold.
Yeah. Greetings, programs. I'm in the middle of doing a few things, and let's see if I can get a couple of things situated real fast. And yeah, we go overhead. So this robot's name, we finally came up with a name for this balance bot that John Kay showed off. We're calling it BB-3.1415926 7 in there, or BB Pi for short. I didn't pick that name. I just didn't object to it too bad. And so what we've been doing is I've got the calves, the legs, printed the wheels, printed the rubber of the TPU for them out there. I've been redesigning a lot of this, or actually not redesigning, tweaking it. For instance, the motors that I got from Solar Robotics that I had laying around, I had to redo this insert part here and that kind of stuff. But this is what I've been doing here. I've been laying out all this in Fusion. So I think this is going to come together real nice. I've got a couple more things to do, and I'm going to be doing that in the course of this evening. 298 as you see, I'm pulling all this stuff apart. It just fits really, really well in all this. The IMU is actually going down in this hole at the bottom of this thing. Servo's in the side. 298. This ultrasonic for making sure it doesn't run into things or as much as it can. Came out really, really nice. We designed it up where I just put some straight bars on the side of this, and because my printer's got some Z banding and some other stuff, that thing literally snaps in there. And I say it was literally snaps in there. Up until just right now, it snapped in there really
Used
well.
to snap in there.
It used to snap in there, but I think with the combination of that and maybe a dollop of
Hot glue.
it's there, right? And then this thing came out really well. And this is what I'm doing. I didn't think I needed to do the upper stanions, but that thing slides in right here. And that's the nano and the cell and the and all the stuff. The nano and the servo motor, and it's got a regulator down in there. So I'm going to pump the battery, which is 11.1 volts, into all of this. You saw where this hung out at. Slides in, and I'm in the course of, again, putting in, trying to do some bolts. So at the very top of this stuff, I can bolt pretty easy to it, and I should be able to get to all of these screws and things that are around it without doing too much craziness on it. The servos go into the side, and I've got a question about these servos. I was really hoping Mr. Anderson would be here because I know he's probably the biggest of us RCers out of this group because I know he does a lot of that stuff. I went into Hobby Town the other day, and I want to mount these things up. And I remember from RC days, we had little grommets that you stick on here because also the vibration doesn't shake these things apart and it works. So I think it's, hey, guy behind the counter, I need some grommets. He goes, what are those? You know, the rubber thing you put on the servos. Oh, there are RC people, we don't use those. And I'm like, is that indeed true? I don't believe it's true, but who do I know? I'm old. I have gray hair. You know, I'm remembering things from 40 years. 40. I was reminded 42 years ago. But that's another story on the whole thing that I'm pretty sure. And I went on eBay, and not eBay, but Amazon. I found grommets, and I'm like, yeah, grommets are a thing. And I just because they're holding the legs, and it's going to be all. I don't know how much the vibration and stuff, and how much that little bit of wiggle room in these servos are actually going to matter when it's trying to balance itself. I don't know.
Ace Hardware has a significant display of grommets and O-rings.
Yeah, I'm about to go down to. I did some quick measuring, and these things are right about a 1/4 inch across. And guess what? Harbor Freight has a whole package, a whole set ready to go for $4. Right, so I'm about to go get me some of those, and then once they'll go into the side, and so I had to change the dimensions here just slightly because it was a little too tight. And then on the top of this is what I came up with. The person that initially designed this didn't have a real place for the batteries. He just jammed some stuff in there. I say he, well, I'm supposed to see. So what I came to do, I modeled this up pretty tight. I've already been through a couple of different prototype printings, and I think when I get done with it tonight, it'll be about done. So I found that if I cut that in, there's a little lip here, a little lip here. By the time I put that in there like that, and when I bolt in the servos, I can run a rubber band from one around and go to the other on both sides of them, and I think I'll be good to go. I think I'll be good to go on all of that. Now, this is going to make this off, but we're balancing this way more than that way, but we'll see what happens. And the idea of turning in things, because I control the servos a little bit, it got the idea that as I'm running straight and I want to curve, I can make this thing lean one way to the other, and we'll see how that all works. But the first thing, it has to balance and not fall over. So we're getting real close to this thing, and yeah, and that's about all I got as far as positive say. I got some winding to do if you really want to wind, but that's because my custom vision that I was showing off not too long ago. I pulled the same models down today. I go to build my Docker containers, and they all blow up on TensorFlow. I'm like, really? So since I am an MVP, guess what? I'm going to find somebody and say, really? And show them my evidence, and we'll see what happens on that thing. There also may be some open source. Some of this may be open source where I can get to the thing in it. I'll file the shoot. Anyway, that's about all I got going on.
Harold, I got a question for you.
Okay.
You said you 3D printed those wheels. How round are they? Because have you rolled them before?
I haven't run them. But I think the outside are going to be fairly round. I think what's going to be have a problem is you can sort of see it a little bit right here. When you get down to these small circles, they're not exactly. Plastic doesn't always go where you want it to go, so this may be just cosmetic. So they'll be a little out of balance, but they may be generally concentric on top of one another. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I had my first 3D printer wasn't that hot of a printer, and it was like one of them rip wraps. But I tried to make wheels with them, and I never could get them round, and they were just.
Some of that has to do with your printer. So
I know it does. Because now I've got them enders. I got a couple of enders now.
Okay.
And they're not bad. They're pretty good. I like them.
I mean, what it comes down to is that, a lot of these rep wraps and the bed slingers and all that stuff that's going on, or even not the bed slingers, the Core XY, is you've got to have a whatever's pulling your X and your Y need to be dead on the same, right? Because that's the only way you get a circle. And if you don't have the right tension on the same basic tension on both of them, or one of them's a little sloppy and the other one's not, you'll be out around, and there'll be nothing you can do to make that thing.
Right.
There's help with that. Some of the like Cura,
Yeah.
and I think some of the other ones will do it too, but I know Cura will do it. If you know your printer is going to get a Wompy Jog circle on it, you can get a profile that says when you print this thing, expand along the Y or the X a certain amount of
Okay.
weight and have a compensation for that.
Right. A certain percentage. I got you. I know what you're talking about.
It could be a percentage. It could be a plus or minus. Like for instance, when on my printer here, when I'm doing holes, I've got a minus 0.02 millimeters on every hole I do. So the minus thing, I believe, makes it just a hair bit bigger because those small holes get extra small. And I'll also make sure that I got a drill bit where I can drill out the size that I need.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
And so I make sure my walls are big enough to survive a little bit of that, and cutting my own threads. Although I really do like the heat set inserts, it just sometimes like this what I've got going on here. I don't think I'm going to be able to make my standoffs big enough to take a heat set insert without totally obliterating them. So we're going to go with the cut your own threads method and pray a little bit.
right.
Hey, Harold, is your extruder a dual head?
No.
Oh,
No.
so did you print the TPU tires and then just like stretch them on?
Yeah, they go on pretty easy. They go on pretty easy.
Yeah.
And just stretch them on. They go on. They're I can't say they're real tight. I mean, if I had to, I guess I could probably hold on to the lightly on the outside and probably turn them a little bit. But that's I don't know if I can hold them light enough. The stuff between the TPU and the friction between the two is more than enough to hold them for what this little bot's going to do.
Oh, okay.
Nice. I'm anxious to see them things roll.
Yeah, I am too, and I think we're real close to it. And we got some base level software that I can put on here that's going to, it's going to be Arduino code on that thing, and we'll see what happens with all that. So I'm going to print this off probably tonight before we get off the stream. I'll start doing another print so we have a thing we can deal with. And let's see what else. Yeah, before we get off the stream. And come Wednesday night, we'll be working on this again and putting it together on the stream.
Well, here's one right here. I don't know if y'all remember, but during the competition, I started messing with these yellow motors, and you remember my wheels kept falling off there that day, but I was I'm just experimenting out of curiosity, messing with these cheap motors, but I was wanting to get I've got some good wheels, like a Polu wheel, but I was wanting to 3D print an adapter, hub for these and put those wheels on this motor. Because these wheels really suck. So that's why I was asking about your wheels, because I might just try to print me some wheels for these motors.
That may not be a bad plan. I mean, if I would, because I upgraded my extruder on mine, and I don't know how the enders handle TPU, but the problem with the TPU's rubber here, the problem is that you have an extruder and you got a hot end. I'm doing a Bowden setup, so that means I have this thing that pushes in filament with
same here. With
a whole tube, and then that tube then eventually goes into the thing that actually melts it. The problem with that is that extruder you have, they're the thing that does all your pushing needs to be not the normal stuff that comes with those enders. May have the right stuff with it now, but at one point you needed to upgrade it, and I upgraded mine to, it's kind of a Titan knockoff. It's a Titan based extruder, and so the tolerances on that thing are very, very tight. So when that rubber comes through there, which is really, really flexible, the pathway on there has it so it can't go anywhere but out the other side. Because if it's not that way, it'll wrap around your extruder and it'll just get all bunched up, and you just day.
I've heard that.
You'll just have a bad day. But
Go ahead.
yeah, but a lot of people say you can't do TPU in a Bowden tube, and I call him BS on that because I do that.
Well, I had a buddy at work. I had a buddy at work that has an ender, and he was printing that material with a Bowden extruder. So
awesome.
I've bought the material, but I've never tried it. I'm always, I'm one of these days. So
just fire. Just here's what you do. Get in the Fusion, measure your ring size, make you a ring, go in and print your ring. It'll take just a little while. Well, this is something that me and the wife are doing. This is Mickey Mouse, but it's a silicone. But I made us a bunch of rings for when we were going places and whatever. And just go in there. The rings are very small. It's a very small amount of material. And and if you just get on it here in about an hour, you'll know whether you can print it or not.
Right.
Absolutely. You got calipers to measure your finger. I know you do.
Yeah.
And if you can't draw a ring and have a little girth to it and the size to it by now with whatever 3D modeling printer stuff you got, 3D modeling stuff you got going on, you just sell it. What I mean? That's pretty straightforward.
I'm doing FreeCAD right now. That's what I'm using.
FreeCAD, that works too. Whatever you use.
Yeah. That's what I've been using.
Yeah, and just model it up and go give it a try. I mean, I will tell you that the only thing two things that I knew that I needed to do on this, one, print really, really slow. Actually, three things. One off by one errors. Really, really slow. No retraction. Okay, four things. No retraction. Really, really slow. No retraction. A bit hotter than you think you need to print, and 100% infill.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
I'll let y'all know one of these days when I get to that's on my list, right?
Awesome.
I'm gonna give it a shot. I've been wanting. I bought the material last year and never opened the package. So,
I've got a package like that too over here. I'm about to do the same thing. I'm about to do the same thing I just told you on it. It's different stuff. It's supposed to be PLA, but it's smooth with alcohol, so you get a smooth texture on it instead of having to put all the goopy stuff everywhere. Anyway, that's about all I got. I mean, I can keep talking if anybody wants to keep listening. You know how it is.
Harold, you're making great progress. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another week or so, that thing's going to be rolling around. It looks like. Well, or falling down or something. It will definitely be together, and the wheels will move. But whether it's going to do all the right stuff, I don't know.
Nice. All right. Well, next in queue we had Michael, and then John, and then whoever wants to jump in. So Michael, what do you got?
Okay. Well, since I'm already talking, I'll just continue. So, I bought this little oscilloscope from Sand Smart. Y'all ever seen one of these little guys?
Yeah.
And
ads.
I don't have a big oscilloscope, and I wanted one, and I didn't want to go out and spend $400 at them right now. So I bought this thing for about $130. It's a dual
channel.
Yeah, dual channel. So anybody ever seen one? I was a little disappointed, not too disappointed, because I kind of thought it'd be about the size of my phone, and it's not. It's closer to the size of a credit card, but it was kind of cool. I can play with it. I'm wanting to play with it with these encoders. I'm going to do this encoder. I told y'all I was going to write code. I'm going to write my own code for one of them. That four corner, because I stole that code off the internet, so I want to go ahead and write my own script to do it, and I'm going to test it, and I'm going to use it to test my encoders and all that stuff, my pulse width modulation and all that stuff. So, anybody ever seen one of these little guys?
First time. Is that
Is it
the
really?
212?
Yes, it's the DS212. I got it on Amazon for $140.
All right. I'll
So-
put a link in.
And it's kind of cool, you know. I don't have any complaints other than it ain't as big as my cell phone, which is what I thought it was going to be. I think it'd be kind of nice to have one about the size of a cell phone. But the guys that wrote comments on this, you know, on Amazon said, you know, they can take it out. They're working out in the floor somewhere in the industry. They don't have to drag their oscilloscope out there to take that thing with them. So anyway, I bought it because I don't have a lot of money. That's why I bought this one. So
Well,
anyway,
looks like it'll be handy too, so you can't feel bad about that at all.
So I'm going to use it in my diagnosis. You know, like for instance, I'll use it like when I'm going to set up these these two different motors, and I'm going to like put drag on them and see how it responds to the drag, you know, on the wheels and stuff like that. I just want to see how it all works. So I might present that one of these nights if I get, you know, if I get that far with it. So. All right, that's all I got.
Cool. Well, we look forward to progress. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Mr. John, what do you have? Uh-oh, are we here?
Schmidt.
He's here. He's muted. John K, you're muted. You're presenting now.
Yes.
Muted presenting. Foam robot we see.
There we are. Okay, now I finally got to the button. So found this. So main thing is relatively cheap. So if you know somebody who wants to build a cheap robot, okay. And then the other key thing is it talks about, and this is a pretty decent article, is Kinker CAD design model. And it has a pretty good layout of, you know, connecting the wires and the parts. I thought that was good. And it has a link for the Kinker CAD model and the circuit in Kinker CAD. So I didn't really know you could do circuit in CAD, the Kinker CAD, but seemingly you can.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
So and to me, it looks like it's pretty nicely laid out. And in fact, that was a reasonably cheap basic foam robot. So that was sort of the two things for it.
They're not really using a 9-volt battery for that, are they?
I was going to say somewhere in here, I thought I saw a 18650 battery
Yeah.
is what they really use.
Yeah, because the 9 volt's not going to have enough current for
very long.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's a full type of use a couple of the
18650s,
batteries. But, you know, I thought it was sort of interesting because of the, well, reasonably cheap, inexpensive, and the software that they were using for the build and design of it was sort of the two key thing that caught my eye.
Nice find.
Well, I think the real thing there, I think that's foam board he's using, and that really is a good material if you need to lighten up your robot. Like, you know, if you were really serious line follower and you wanted to respond, you want to minimize inertia. So foam board is can be a really good material.
It's a lot easier than carbon fiber, that's for sure.
Yeah.
A lot less expensive too, right?
A lot less expensive.
Yeah.
They just cut that out with a knife, I guess, huh?
Well, you can do it with. I'm sure that's what he did, but he's got this knife there. But you know, you can also do it on a laser cutter without too much trouble.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. What you'll see with a laser cutter is the foam will retract a little bit from the paper, so because it gets melted when you shoot through. But it's not bad enough to, you know, to not use it as a material. And it's a lot easier if you've got access to one than using a knife. I always end up with Band-Aids on my fingers when I use a knife to do something like that.
So there's no accompanying video of a little Indian kid with a machete cutting this out of, cutting the foam board out? Or, no.
Yeah, I know. Well, and a handmade machete.
Handmade machete, yeah.
Handmade, one that he's modified out of a Coke can or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. All right. John, nice find.
Mm-hmm.
And that exhausts our known queues. So anyone else have something to jump in? We got some open floor now.
I personally would like to know how the excavator's doing.
You and me both.
No news, apparently.
Hey,
Quiet.
Doug,
Go ahead.
for Saturday, would it be a good idea to go ahead and download all that stuff before we get there on our laptops, or is it going to take very long to download it? I mean,
It'll be fast to download, won't it, Doug? I mean, Makerspace has high bandwidth, and it's.
oh, he's muted.
He's muted. Doug's muted. I think it's pretty fast, Michael, but
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Doug's this.
I agree with you, Carl. And to just keep everybody in touch, in the same step. Now, there'll be parts that I'm sure some people already have, in which case, we'll just kind of make sure. For example, like with Visual Code Studio, you use a lot of extensions. Well, we're going to have a standard set of extensions so that everybody's on the same page. Other people may have additional extensions, but that's fine. Anyway, so don't worry about it. Assume you just bring your laptop, bring your Arduino board, bring your USB cable. Should be good to go.
All righty.
Oh, and cookies. You're supposed to bring cookies too.
Oh, cookies. I'm buying the pizza, huh?
Yeah.
Any particular kind of cookie you like?
Yeah. I can't.
One thing you might bring is something to drink. It's pretty warm in that room.
Yeah.
So
I
our fan.
Yeah, I worried about that, but I figured it'd still be better off if we'll just sit far apart from each other and not overheat ourselves. It's got all the televisions and everything. That's kind of
Maybe
cool.
we'll keep the BA5, variant at bay, with distancing or something.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Kareem, I think there's a handful of people who've got some questions about a certain excavator project. Is it premature? Is it
Hoping for videos.
sneaky updates or videos to share?
I wasn't planning on sharing anything in particular. I can answer some questions, I guess. We're calling it the Mechavator, and but the problem is we're having trouble. They were having some trouble with sort of the X-axis on the two joystick manipulators. It was just the way they constructed it. It was slewing all over the place. So it was a lack of stiffness, and so the swing action and the bucket action weren't working super well. And I think they got to the point where maybe it's fixed, but it hasn't been tested. This last weekend it was so hot, and this is all stuff that has to be tested outside. And the place that we're holding it is mostly unshaded, and so it's they're not being super efficient about getting the whole thing up and running, and filmable is a particular issue, and unfortunately it's got to go back. This next weekend is the last weekend we have to film it, so hopefully they'll, yeah.
You did get your hole dug, right?
Yeah, The actual reason I rented it was for a new workshop to rival Michael's, and
Ah,
you know, so I've been clearing land in the backyard basically and
Mhm.
cutting trails through the property
Yeah.
with the. I've become pretty good at an excavator. I've got like over 80 hours on it now, and like I can take it up and down really steep hills and walk it with the bucket over ridges and stuff like that. And it has a thumb on it, so I'm getting real good at taking down trees. We sort of basically live in a forest, and there's tons of dead cedars, unfortunately, on the
Hmm.
property. So I've been doing a lot of clearing and that kind of stuff. So,
have you tried some of the tricks that I've seen with?
well, I haven't tried climbing a tower.
Well, that's a bridge too far. I was thinking of the forklift tricks where the really good forklift operators will put a quarter or a dime on the floor, and they'll use the forklift to flip the
Flip it
dime
up.
onto the fork.
I'm getting pretty good at picking up really small things. It's amazing how much precision you can get out of the giant machine with loose pins on it, and it's kind of crazy.
Huh.
So yeah,
Fun.
it's been a blast. It's been a lot of hard work, and so I'm not having as much time to work on robots or coach the team as I preferred to, but we're hoping to get some sort of workshop built. Yeah, right now I'm having trouble finding concrete contractors to do the foundation. So if anybody has good leads on that, feel free to send it my way.
Yeah, what's concrete up to these days per yard? Is it like 100 and is 200 or?
Well, I've only got one bid so far, and it wasn't itemized. So, and
Well,
and I'm not planning on. This is a little bit too big for me to do myself. I've done some slabs in the driveway in the past, but this is 70 by 40 feet and 45 feet. It's just
wow.
that's got to be done professionally.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's a lot of concrete.
that's a lot of concrete. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, we look forward to encouraging you on to see what
Yeah,
happens.
it'll take a year probably to get this thing built at current rates.
All right. Okay, who's next? Not to pick on anybody, but Jack, how's the coffee business doing? Or are you down to cold brew right now? Robotic cold brew. Oh, he's muted. Oh, he's getting the audio ready.
I haven't been able to do too much with it right now. Yeah, a friend of mine had a wedding, so I've been out of town for that.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
didn't he know your cold brew? Your
I know. You should have waited. Consulted me on that, but. Mm-hmm.
I have a question for the group if nobody else says anything.
Jump right in.
Since we were talking Visual Studio Code, we're kind of related to that, right? There's kind of a cloud version of it. So I'm just curious if anybody's using that. But I'm more interested if anybody's using any of these AI coding assistants, right? I mean, I'm not sure this is fully released yet, right? Or you have to be invited as a beta tester. Like GitHub has something, right? It's kind of doing the coding for you. And I don't know the details or if anybody's heard about it, but it's kind of code completion, right, on steroids, something like that. It kind of tries to figure out what you're trying to do. I don't know much about it. Just curious if anybody is participating in these beta tests. Maybe Harold, he strikes me as the kind of person who does this.
I will. When I kick this print off that I'm doing, I am going to then go sign up because I got re-upped as a Microsoft MVP, and what comes along with that is a GitHub Pro account. And we've been told I could have signed this up for a long time ago, but I wasn't going to blog about it, and I wanted everybody else. I wanted I was saying let other people that are going to blog about it have the spot because I'm not going to blog about it and do that sort of thing. Um, with the GitHub Pro account, there are two things that come along with that. One is code spaces, which literally everybody's coding inside a web page on a virtual machine, and everybody's banging on the same get a code. That's what I understand it to be. It's kind of cool. And the other thing, I will get account to the Copilot, which is what you're talking about. Is the GitHub Copilot, and what they've done is they've gone through every public, not private, but public repository in GitHub, threw some AI at it, that kind of stuff. I've got my next door neighbor. I say next door neighbor, Michael Perry, the guy that sits next to me. He's been playing with it, and he's been doing a bunch of Swift work. And he's saying, I'm, he's not a Swift coder. He hasn't been coding that long in Swift, but he's been coding forever and ever and ever. So that's not the big deal. So what he's been doing to help on this project, he gets up there in the comments, and is in the Swift code, he does a comment. I want to be able to play an MP3 file in through this thing, through the audio. It whirls around, it gets a chunk of code that does that. You muck around with the variables a little bit to make sure you get what you have passing in, and he says it works. And it's coding for you. It's using all the AI, how many billions of lines of code that these things have in it that do these things, and it tries to make the best guess out of what you want to do of what you just told it. That's literally, you write a human language sentence in a comment, and it goes out and will say, "Is this what you're talking about?" I'm like, I don't know. Let's see if it works.
It's kind of a code search engine, like
it's
Google for code.
It's way more than that, but that's effectively how you start using it. Yeah. It looks at your code.
If you sign up for GitHub Pro, you automatically get to use it, or
no.
invited?
If they're going to add that benefit to us on it after we sign up, because I'm an MVP. I do believe it's, if you want to sign up right now, I think it's going to general availability. I think it's $10 a month is what it costs to get that access. So if you're slinging tons of code, this might be worth it for you. And in fact, I don't know, after I try it, I may want to use it too, because I got GitHub going everywhere. Yeah.
Free trial.
Even after it's not free, I may actually pay for it, depending on how it works.
So I lost 10 seconds of audio. So when you answered my question, I didn't have audio. So how do you get access to it?
It's $10 a month. Just go in there and click on the thing. I know that the Amazon and those other and Google have their versions of this. Like they all have the some version of this going out there, right? And I don't know what they cost or don't cost, but I know it's going to be about $10 a month for Copilot.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And there's a free trial. With the basics for individuals and organizations, $0 per year forever.
Yeah, I read an article, folks are complaining about it because what it essentially does, right? It picks up all these nuggets of code and gives it to you without crediting the original author.
That's a whole nother thing, right? If that is indeed a problem for whoever, and I get it, but you don't know who this came from, right? You don't know. It could, and the thing is, it might not just come from one person. It might come from a whole bunch of people, and this is what the AI inferred what you wanted to do with it.
So that really does help make it the Google of code, right? Because that's all Google does is repurpose everybody else's content, present it to you nicely. Although then you, like with Google, you get the fake news. So it'd be interesting to see how much GitHub Copilot provides fake code or malware code.
That has been a concern, right?
Yeah,
it's definitely been a concern.
Along with pop-ups and advertising, right?
I don't, I haven't played with it, so I don't suppose. I know that was kind of a jokey kind of thing, but who knows? You're trying to, if you like Ready Player One, if you watch the movie on it, I read the book and watched the movie. I like them both. But if you watch the movie on it, you would see what look when we take over this thing. We found that we can put advertising on 80% of the visual field before they start having epileptic fits. I'm like, and there's people out there doing that. I'm like, could you not just cut it out? Don't.
Well, hell, if you're $10 a month, it looks like Team is $44 a user per year. So, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Anyhow,
It's a cool thing. I will do something with it here shortly.
sounds like fun.
Yeah.
All righty, what's next? So who's working on their outdoor robot? Oh,
That's what I was whining about earlier.
all right. Who wishes they were working on their outdoor robot?
Oh, who wishes? Yeah.
In the meantime, though, I did find something about indoor robots, so I'll show you this. In that case, let's see. I think that's the one I need to click on.
I think I want to do.
So there's this I found. How good of an article it is, I don't know.
Well, that's a really old gyroscope, isn't it?
Okay. But what caught my eye was down here, it talks a little about math. So, okay, so they have that. And then proportional control. So you might, see if it's a good article or not, but it talks about calculations on that. So how accurate it is, don't know, but it did catch my eye. So we can run the video and see if it
I was
works.
going to say, if that board's not screwed down, I kind of wonder how good it could be. It's going to be flopping in the air. Maybe it is held down firmly.
No.
So who knows? I may see.
Yeah. I saw this article too, John.
You
I looked
did?
at it. Yeah.
So what do you think?
He's actually driving it by Bluetooth. He's got basically, I think, two commands, like turn and go straight. And the gyro is I think turns 90 degrees. But there is some interesting stuff in here. I just haven't really dug into it. And,
Okay, I just
the MPU 6050 gyroscope. It's not probably top tier it's definitely not top tier anymore. But I think it's actually a pretty good project. I think you can see where this guy probably learned it a lot. So I actually put that in my collection of things. You see there, he's using a Bluetooth to drive around with. I have respect for him. You notice he's not using a four battery pack. He's using one with 6. So that means he stepped up a little bit. And like you said, the math seems, he's handling the fact that he's got a rate gyro, so he has to integrate. So, and the other thing that's interesting, I'd like to understand exactly why, but if you notice, he's mounted it upward, so he's not using yaw. He's using, I can't remember which one it is. It's either roll or pitch. And I'm not sure why he did that. You can see it right there. You see he's got it turned up. And so with that position, he's not using yaw. He's using, I can't remember which one it is, but it's roller pitch.
It might just be how he started the header.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, but
Well, that
But he
board
has
has a bunch of holes along that side.
okay.
It's still yaw.
Yeah, well, for what we
Not
would
maybe
get,
the hard-coded
yeah. What I'm saying is,
orientation, but
yeah, not from the board. From the board's perspective, it's not yaw. I mean, from our looking down at it, it's yaw.
It's not y'all.
Yeah, it's not yaw. Yeah. But anyway, I'm just curious of why he did that. Was there, I don't know enough about the 60/50 to know if there's more resolution in one direction or not, or it's just the decision he made or what. Plugging it into a what you call it? Plugging it into a
Breadboard.
breadboard, yeah, probably isn't. If you think about it, that's probably a little bit sloppy. So
Yeah, but it's faster connections and interchangeable that way.
mhm. Yeah, like I said, this is a step up from the really super basic Arduino robot instructables. I think, like I said, I think you probably learned a lot.
Yeah. Well, it looked like he had a decent documentation too, which was what was catching my eye here. So yeah, that was the other thing, but but that's more indoor than outdoor. You know, this could be used outdoor too, I guess. Reality.
Well, not that robot.
Well, no, but
but
with
you
the
know,
code behind the
Yeah.
robot.
yeah, but again, you know, I mean, he's using Bluetooth because he has no encoders or any way to know how far he's gone. So he's just turning it by eye. So outdoors, that would be a little bit of a problem.
I like his step number 5. The first 4 steps are about the basic setup. And step
Yeah.
number 5 is debugging common problems, in parentheses, skip if everything works.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that.
All right.
I wonder how he knows all those things.
Hey, we're scoring.
Righty. Well, let's see. Are we getting crickets now? Is it about time to wind up for Saturday and next Tuesday, or are there more things we should hit tonight?
We can still do some work. It's only 10 to 9, you know. So,
You know,
This is
outdoor
pretty.
platform.
This is pretty quick for us on this.
pretty quick, yeah. But just summer, I think we're all just drained from the blast furnace outdoors.
Yeah.
Well, you got that right.
Yeah, at least here in Dallas.
You know, I go out there in the shade and I say, well, this is not too bad. And then as soon as I start doing something, it's like, oh, God, I'm dying.
It'll sap it, take it out of you pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bull that we have on our property, I think every day he's going up to the front gate and it looks like he's trying to dig under it. So, you know, we pull up in our cars and the bump now is so high we can't get over it. So we have to go up there with a shovel and shovel the gravel back in the hole. And I think he's, you know, the grass is greener on the other side or something, or there's some cow in heat on the other side of the road. So it's gonna like cut that out. So it's like you go out there and shovel in the heat, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, you wait till 3 in the afternoon. That's the perfect time for that.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, I haven't seen many roofers out lately.
Yeah.
I saw some on the way into improving. There's a bunch of on Legacy. There's a bunch of like apartments and stuff going up on the south side of Legacy, and those boys are up there covered head to toe with sun shirts and wide brimmed hats. Man, just going for it.
Just getting to it.
Yeah.
10-gallon things of water.
And I'll tell you, ain't none of them what you want to call hefty individuals either, because well, they just not, it ain't gonna make it. I mean, just not gonna make it.
Yeah.
Yep. Not many older, fatter roofers out there.
No, ain't many of those.
Yeah, I for Pam's birthday one year, she had some rental property and it needed a new roof, and that was her birthday present. It was a new roof for the rental property, and so both of us got on the top of the roof with her dad, and we're removing shingles in the heat. And it's kind of like you could take a garden hose and just soak yourself to try to keep cool, but man, it was brutal.
Yeah,
Couldn't make it as a roofer, I guess.
You do
That was
that.
this year?
No, this was several years ago.
Oh, okay.
You do that once, maybe twice, and you figure out that maybe this is not your best career choice.
Nope.
I roofed when I was a teenager. I roofed for about 4 hours, and I went to lunch and never came back. And I think
And you're probably here today because of it, right?
Wise career decision, huh?
right. So I went to lunch and never come back. That's funny. I didn't even go back for my pay. I'm like, you can have it.
Gave him 4 hours, huh?
Getting 4 hours, 4 or 5,
Hey, Pat.
Pat,
How's it going?
Good.
doing all right. Although we got a kind of all spent bunch here. I think I don't know if it's warm in Canada, but I think we're taking the brunt on the heat for you. I think so. We're all just petered out.
It's about 70 degrees right now here.
In Fahrenheit. Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah, 70 Fahrenheit. 20 Celsius.
okay. So you're pumped up. So what do you have to show us tonight, Pat?
I just pulled in. It's almost 10 p.m. here, and it's been a long day driving coming in from Wisconsin.
Oh,
But
I was in
am-
Wisconsin last weekend.
Oh, I was in Alma Center, Wisconsin.
Spring Green for me.
Okay. So about I don't know, 10-hour day, 10 or 11 hours driving today.
All right.
Ooh.
So yeah.
I was 10 hours south of you, and now I'm 15 hours south of there. So how about that?
And now you join us for more punishment?
And I joined you. Just do a little bit of a wind down here tonight, and then I think I'm going to bed.
Okay. Pat, did you notice the Saturday thing we have with Platform IO and VS Code?
I didn't see. I haven't checked my email today.
Okay. I will put,
is that a go in the list at all?
it is a go. And I just put another fresh chat for you, but I know you'd mentioned it a couple meetings ago. So this Saturday, Dallas Central Time from noon to whatever.
Okay, noon Central Time. Okay.
Noon Central. And it'll be a workshop, hybrid event, local and online, and with the goal of whoever wants to get themselves set up, we'll help you all get them set up.
Yeah, I want to see if I'm missing anything. I'm using those tools, but I can always learn from some experts.
We'll let that sit.
No comment. Right?
Crickets.
Well, I did enjoy some of your weather in the Badlands. My truck was registering at 1.44 degrees Celsius.
1.44?
No, 44.0 Celsius, which is I don't know what.
Hot.
95, something like that, maybe.
Let's see.
Okay, computer.
I'd have to compute.
44 degrees Celsius Fahrenheit.
44 degrees Celsius is 111.2 degrees Fahrenheit.
There you go, my friend.
It was.
That's respectable. There's no doubt about that. That's respectable.
It was. So I got a little bit maybe of what you guys were going through in the August competition last year.
Yeah.
Or right now.
Yeah, but currently that's going to be pretty much the month of July and most of
Mm.
August for us, I think.
Okay.
I got to tell you, it's one thing to look at the air temperature, but so I like to ride a road bicycle, right, with pedals, no, not even an electric motor or anything. And I a couple years ago decided it would be fun to carry around a little IR thermometer with me because I noticed my feet were getting like swollen and really hot, and I'm thinking, well, come on, it's only 96, 97 out. Why are my feet so? Well, then I started measuring the pavement. And the air might have been 96, 97, no big deal. But the pavement was 135.
Wow.
Mm.
I'm thinking,
Well,
no wonder my feet are hot when
yeah.
they're
Well,
like
I was
the pavement.
while I was working on the irrigation system, I touched a piece of metal. Bad. It was. I mean, like, whoa.
You can cook on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had shorts on the other day, and I was getting into my truck on the thing, and I've got some the side runners that are kind of chrome, you know, that you step up on it into the truck.
Yeah.
And I managed to brush up against one of those, but that did not have the rubber parts exposed, and that was a little warm. That was like, oh yeah,
It was like second-degree burn, huh?
yeah, that was that. I got off of that fast. It didn't take long to check that out. Oh my word.
Well, we do have this in our favor, right? The days are getting shorter now, so pretty soon it'll be really cold and really dark, and all we'll do is sit in front of our terminals and make robots.
It's not the equinox yet, right?
June
No, that was in
22nd.
June.
Oh, it
June-
was?
Yeah,
June 20th, I thought, wasn't it?
I thought it's 22nd, something
No,
like
that
that.
was the solstice.
So,
Equinox is when day and night are equal.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right.
sorry.
Yeah. The solstice. So it's already passed. Yeah. So a little bit shorter. Not much.
that's
though.
coming up in December.
You know, there's two of them,
December?
right?
When's the
Yeah.
equinox?
Right. Yep.
No,
There's-
it won't be December. December is closer to
Yeah.
the winter solstice.
Yeah.
September 22nd.
All right, right in the middle. That's when the daylight and nighttime is changing as fast as possible, right?
Yeah.
And there was
It was
another
very-
interesting thing surfaced last week or so. So apparently, was it July 8th, I think. So July 8th, somebody figured out that some vast, like 99% of the Earth's population could have direct light, photons from the sun visible at the same time. Just because of the alignment of everything. So everybody had, and maybe it wasn't daylight, right? Maybe it was twilight and it was just a couple photons refracting around the horizon, but that's what they were saying. And they showed that kind of like that map where they have the sunlight and such, where it shows the which places of the Earth are in light and which are in dark. That was kind of cool. Yeah, so this kind of thing. You know what I mean? And it showed it where, like, there's all the dry areas where people live, and sure enough, they were all pretty much lit for a brief time. Anyhow. I think we're way off the beaten track now, guys. So what do y'all think? Should we take the time back this evening and regroup Saturday and Tuesday?
Sure.
All right. Good talking to y'all. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Stay cool.
Good night.